Classic 1983 comedy.
Dead man Valentine!
It was an experiment.
Josh, do you know?
Pee Wee Herman?
Was that a movie title? Was there a movie called Pee Wee?
Well, there's
Herman?
Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Well, so no, it's
so it's not.
Yeah.
Yes.
At least he guessed.
Plus 1983, really?
Well, at least he tried. Opie and Anthony were right. You are the perfect hole, Don.
That's got to be Trading Place.
Yes, it's got to be Trading Places. Yes, you're right.
Put it out, Rob. You're a professional broadcaster.
So many buttons.
Box.
We won. Man. Oh my God.
That was a 15-second drop, and it's still not over. Talk about filling time.
You win!
Eddie Murphy, Dan Aykroyd, Jamie Lee Curtis, and
Well, thank you, Rob. Unless you explained what Trading Places was about, I would have had no idea what a more than 40-year-old movie titled Trading Places was about. Is it about the main characters trading places?
they make Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd trade places. Dan Aykroyd goes from being this high finance guy.
We all know that the Movie Master's bit is a bit hack. It's meant to fill time on a Monday morning, because these are the kind of things that Rob believes the average radio listener wants. The person who just moved to Sacramento, just got a job, moved across the country. They're going to be here for a few years. They want to find a morning radio show to brighten their mood on a Monday morning. So let's talk about what Rob thinks radio listeners want to hear at 7:30 on a Monday morning.
For you doing coming up at 8 and 9 a.m. All right, hypothetical for you involving a news story. We have different versions of father-son relationships on the show. Of course, Dawn's father passed away at a very young age. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with Dawn on this hypothetical. I think I am.
You're the radio host, Rob. You've been in charge of this woman for decades now. You better know whether or not you're going to include her father in whatever hypothetical you're talking about, because you know damn well better than anyone on earth how important that woman's father is to her.
But maybe family, whatever, it doesn't matter. The closest, most important people in your life, same scenario, pick one or two of them in your head, and what you find are images of childhood.
Just to get you up to speed, this conversation started with what would you do if your father asked you to help him with his phone and you discovered the first example was of a significant other? And then the hypothetical moved to what would you do if your father / fill in the blank, important person in your life, if you found out that they were involved in animals. However you interpret that. But on a Monday morning at 7:30, this is all building up to, let's talk about
cops right away.
No question. No confrontation.
No confrontation.
No, what the hell is this?
Nope.
Why is this on here?
Cops
Nothing.
Right away.
Right away.
Right away.
And you find them, and this is animal. Like, well, first I'm going to be emotional, then I might see if I can stop it myself. Child.
No.
You don't know.
I don't want to call the cops on my dad. I know
What?
it's disgusting.
That's the
but,
tough part, right?
Disgusting. That's
And this is what I mean by Rob not knowing how he's going to handle this with Dawn. How do you not know how Dawn is going to react to child abuse? She has talked about her story, her past. How would you expect her to react otherwise, Rob?
Look, he's involved in child they're on his phone.
They're on his phone.
Whether he took them or not it's a distinction without a difference legally, not in practice.
There's just not a strong enough word for what this is.
It doesn't matter to Dawn. And it doesn't matter to Brandon. And it doesn't matter to most people. Because it doesn't matter. There is a word that describes all this. Inappropriate. Inappropriate for 7:30 on a Monday morning, Rob.
You don't accidentally acquire stuff like that.
Thank you.
There's intent behind it. And so I wouldn't have any questions or anything. That I would absolutely call right away.
And
This is so beyond not okay.
You would apply the same, since I mentioned him, to Gary, to your husband.
Absolutely.
20 years together,
And I
just seeing
listen, what I'm most afraid of, am I going to call the cops before I freaking the person? Honestly.
Gary, who at one point was one of Rob's best friends. You didn't expect this reaction out of Dawn? Really?
I couldn't use my dad in the example, so I used my wife, and I had similar reactions to Kyle with all of these.
I understand. I understand Rob's father is a great man. But if you're going to put Dawn and Brandon and everyone else on the show, if you're going to put the listener in the position to think about what would you do if your father was caught being involved with abuse, why wouldn't you consider that about your dad, Rob?
Of the pausing of the wait a minute, this is I know this person, this is my person. Doesn't mean in the end it doesn't wind up where Dawn and Brandon wound up immediately. Reaction is so there's no one on this planet I know better than my wife in terms of deep, dark intimacy, secrets. All this stuff, what she's capable of, what we're capable of.
What she's capable of, what we're capable of.
And go from there. I don't understand this. I don't know who she's mad at here. Jeannie says, I hate Kyle, but you guys are wrong for the scenario. It's such a topic for everyone, and you're bringing close family into it. You're sick. Remember, there's a news story.
What? Yeah, it's Monday morning at 7:30. People are trying to get to work. They don't want to be thinking about what are they going to do in a hypothetical scenario involving their fathers.
That has promoted this. There's a reason I'm taking this tact.
She doesn't want to talk about it. Doesn't want to hear about it.
Okay.
Like it just bothers her that it's even being brought up.
You know what? Don't hate Kyle. Hate's a strong word.
It doesn't sound like there is a reason that you're taking this tact, Rob. It sounds like you're being lazy and you didn't think this segment out very well.
If somebody is capable of such a heinous crime, what makes you think if you confront them that they're going to be honest?
This scenario is on the scale of what would you do during a home invasion if you wake up in the middle of the night? If you wake up in the middle of the night and someone is breaking into your house and they have a gun, what do? The fact is, you don't know what you're going to do unless you get into that situation. That's why going through these hypotheticals can be healthy. But not 7:30 in the morning on a Monday, man.
And such. Robert says, I'm like Kyle, it'll be tough. To say you call the cops, what if he then gets arrested? We all know what happens to guys in prison with that on their record.
Good.
I don't want to be the one to live with my father in a way.
Did Kyle write that email?
Gross.
Greg says, child level. I get the Michael Vick stuff and not immediately calling the cops, but these are kids. Regardless of whether or not he's involved, he's promoting. Pretty disappointed right now.
My disappointment in you, Rob, has less to do with your position on this matter and more to do with why are you doing this on a Monday morning when people are trying to get to work? And now isn't the time to be telling people, hey, let's have this conversation when you're trying to go to work on a Monday morning. You might be struggling with your bills right now. Your children might not be doing so hot in school. Maybe you're behind on your rent. Maybe you're struggling to get to work because your car is falling apart. Who wants to be talking about this at 7:30 in the morning? On a Monday.
That's what he's saying.
Yes.
But I do love that little exercises like this get people to then be hypothetical. Nothing's happened. And then you're disappointed in us. Interesting.
Disappointed in your answers. This is what we're doing.
No. He's disappointed in us as humans.
Oh
boy.
No. I'm disappointed in your answers.
Okay. But I don't know why you wouldn't be disappointed in me as humans.
Your show is very disappointing, Rob. The humans aren't putting on a good show.
The story came up because there was a viral reaction like no other, like I expected on this show, from people who could not agree on the story of 63-year-old Gene Fallon,
And if you have any interest in the story about Gene Fallon, you are free to go look it up. I'm not going to. This isn't about that. This video is about the crux of what's gone wrong with this show. I used to listen to Rob, Arnie, and Dawn a lot. From the time I was in middle school, it was a faithful companion in high school. I remember when the comedian Jimmy Norton called in and Ramoned them, and that was my introduction to Opie and Anthony. Rob, Arnie, and Dawn were always a bit hack, but it wasn't unlistenable. 10 years ago is when Ernie States was fired from Rob, Arnie, and Dawn, and we got the birth of RAD Radio, the Rob Anybody and Dawn Show. The Rob Anybody But Arnie and Dawn Show. And this is what the show is. 10 years on, we're discussing on your morning commute. So with this channel, I actually have been uploading some of the best ofs that I happen to have from the Rob, Arnie, and Dawn Show. I'll be uploading, once a week, sort of as an archive service. But moreover, I'm going to be looking and listening for hints of, so that we can contrast it with the new show. The Rob, Arnie, and Dawn Show would not have tried to push this at 7:30 in the morning. The only times they would really get into topics about child abuse was when it was about, Dawn's story, or if they were helping a listener. But dragging this story and doing the, well, how would you react if it was you bit, it's fun when the hypothetical situation is fun. It is not fun when the hypothetical situation is some of the darkest, most evil things that humans are capable of. Why is this your show, Rob? What happened to you? Rob, you used to be funny.
I understand I come across as a know-it-all haughty jerk, and I understand. See, that's part of being me. I understand that if you are to find me in a precarious situation of being wrong, I would expect you to be a jerk then. And I take it.
Yeah.
I take it.
You do.
I mean, if I'm wrong, like deadly, awfully, I expect you to be gloatingly jerky about it.
And you're not a jerk back. You roll over.
Not
like
if I'm
a dog.
wrong.
No. Yeah, not if you're wrong. Yeah.
To have this attitude, you better be right.
But we don't know there's a tude.
And
you don't know if there's a tude.
Maybe he's being a comedy person,
And you used to be a radio host. You used to know that this segment was never going to fly. This segment, in particular, I think exemplifies everything that's wrong with this show. And Rob betrays himself when he says, "Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do with Dawn. I thought about this myself, but I couldn't consider this with my father." Well, you know what, Rob? If you can't include yourself in the hypothetical situation that you're asking not only your co-hosts to entertain, but also me and every other listener to entertain, if you're not willing to consider your father, maybe don't ask me to consider mine.